Hello, wonderful butterflies of this world. It's your host here, Ash from Butterfly Shots. Welcome back to another episode of Ash Unmasked, podcast where we talk about everything and anything from books to life's little drama stories to everything in between. As y'all's already know, Ash loves to talk, especially about books, and especially when a book does emotional CPR on our soul like this one has. Today's episode is bittersweet because we're closing off our mini-series on the book Accept, Value, and Empower Yourself by David Bonham-Carter, aka the book that gently grabbed us by the hand and said, "Hey Ash, maybe you're not actually broken. Maybe you're just tired of pretending to be someone you're not." Oof, that hit us. Let's do a personal recap of the journey so far. Before we dive into closing thoughts, let's rewind for a second. When we first got this book from our local library, we were, let's just say, not exactly thriving in the self-esteem department. We were stuck in a weird situation, a mix of oversharing, anxiety, burnout, boundary blindness, and no! Did we say too much again? Syndrome. Ugh, with a splash of imposter syndrome. So, David Bonham-Carter gives us a 5-step value plan to better self-esteem. Value yourself, accept yourself, look after yourself, understand yourself, empower yourself, and you shall have more self-esteem. We gave this book an honest go. We didn't just read it, we actually lived it. In chapter 1, which was called Value Yourself, we felt very touched by Vincent van Gogh's wise words, which were, if you hear a voice within you say you cannot paint, then by all means, paint. In our case, it was more like, if you hear a voice inside you say you cannot do whatever you're trying to do this time, go ahead and do it. Let's go, Ash. Ultimately, this chapter really taught us that self-esteem, it doesn't grow through hustle or by faking confidence. Don't fake it till you make it. Nope. Actually, it grows when you just do stuff you love without guilt. So we started doing just that. Photography, biking, reading, yoga, outside time, saying no, and doing stuff just because. Did it feel weird at first? Yeah, kinda did. Did it work? Yes. Chapter 2 explored what it was like to accept yourself, and we scribbled a phrase in our journal. Let us pass it to you now. It went something like, we're worthy whether or not we succeed at fulfilling a certain goal. Mistakes don't take away from our worth, they add to it. They're lessons. Since reading the book, we really worked hard on becoming our own best friend, on being the kind of best friend who forgives, cheers, and let her best friend flop without drama. Turns out, self-acceptance does not mean liking everything about yourself. It means not being so mad with your own reflection every time you mess up. Because, messing up is part of being human. We do feel like we have a better level of self-acceptance since we read the book. We've been working hard. For us, it does manifest as more happy, less stress, and our failures are a bit easier to handle because we accept them, and we accept that we're imperfect. Chapter 3 was all about looking after yourself. And this one connected self-care to self-worth in a way we haven't seen before. We now understand how important taking care of yourself or self-care is to self-esteem. We did not see that before, but there is a connection because low self-esteem might cause poor self-care. A way to help boost the self-esteem is to make conscious decisions to look after ourselves and to take the extra steps to do so. For us, it's all about having a balanced lifestyle. We do have routines. We eat nutritious food. We have a regular sleep pattern. We move on to daily, less and less for how we will look, but more and more for how it feels to be strong. Reading the book, what we really implemented was to stop overscheduling and to schedule rest periods. Really, with this chapter, we developed a lot of self-compassion. We've been a lot kinder to ourselves lately and less critical. We started acknowledging that We're not perfect, and that's okay because nobody else is either. Even nature's not perfect, and we adore her, don't we? After reading the book, we started spending more time doing stuff we love doing just because. That means spending more time outdoors, painting and instant photography, and making time to do more biking. Another thing we started spending more time concentrating on is making sure that we respect our boundaries and limits. Also, we are still hanging on to the commitment to have an ash day once a week where we schedule nothing and do what we feel like doing. We love the ash day. With this chapter, we realized how important it is to say no to people in order to prioritize ourselves or needs and doing stuff we love doing. It is not selfish, it is actually self-care. Boom. In chapter 4, the author talks about understanding yourself, and it is about getting to know our own negative thoughts and core beliefs, the reasons behind low self-esteem, and how to respond to low self-esteem. Really, this chapter made us take a step back. We realized that our self-esteem wounds weren't born in isolation. They came from culture, they came from bullying, and a society that calls dreamers like us weirdos. We now see how society, bullying, mean, judgy people, or just hanging out with the wrong crowd for us could have affected badly our self-esteem throughout our life. The past is actually the background to self-esteem, so it does make sense that people who suffered a lot of trauma in their past do tend to have low self-esteem issues. That means that we're just human. But also, aside society, our parents were quietly planting seeds of self-worth all along. They did taught us to follow our hearts. They're always supportive of us and our quirks. They did teach us that everyone has value. It doesn't matter what you do in life. So now, today, we're choosing to honor that by taking more risks, by gently stepping outside of our comfort zone and rewriting those old narratives, one tiny act of courage at a time. And we already noticed how taking calculated risks affects our self-esteem. When we take calculated risks and succeed, it boosts our self-esteem. Now, the last but not the least, chapter 5, empower yourself. This chapter talks about assertive communication, not aggressive, not passive, assertive. This chapter was our self-esteem boot camp, learning how to express our needs clearly, calmly, confidently, learning to stand up for our rights while also respecting others' views. This chapter made us realize how acting passively could have negative impact on self-esteem, because by not expressing our needs, we're teaching ourselves that we're not worth filling our needs. We also realize that by acting passively, we eventually blow up and become aggressive, and this is something we dislike. This situation could be resolved by developing more assertive communication skills, but there's something very important here. There's no need to change ourselves. This is about acquiring new skills. This chapter really helped us with our self-esteem because it taught us tools on how to prepare for hard conversations, how to communicate more assertively, and we see the effect on our self-esteem already. This chapter also taught us being honest does not make you mean. Also that criticism is often just noise. After all, we do pick what we retain from people's comments. We don't need to take it so personally. After all, it is just someone's opinion influenced by a bunch of factors. We're working hard on assertiveness, but we've already seen the impact it has on our self-esteem. It's pretty empowering. Final reflections on the book. If we had to sum up what this book taught us in one sentence, it could be this one. You don't need to become someone else to be confident or enough. You just need to see, accept, and value yourself clearly. This self-esteem building journey was not about adding things to who we were. It was really about removing the layers that made us believe we were unworthy. So To every butterfly still listening, take the risk, rest without guilt, speak your truth softly but firmly, forgive yourself often, and most importantly, be on your own side, be your own best friend. As we close this mini-series, we invite you to reflect. What part of this mini-series or book touched you or resonated with you the most? What's one thing you might try differently this week? Well, dear butterflies of the world, that's it. Thank you so much for joining us for this closure episode of the mini-series. As usual, we would love to hear your thoughts. Consider leaving us a comment or a review if you'd like, or even sharing this mini-series with someone who might need a little self-esteem CPR of their own. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss any future episode. Thank you so much for fluttering by the pod. Take care of yourselves out there. Bye for now.